Welcome to the deep dive. So, you want to run a business using biblical principles.
That's right.
Well, we dove into this document, and let me tell you,
Mhm.
it's mind-blowing, it's practical
Yeah.
and insightful, and we think you're going to be surprised by what we found. Get ready to discover some ancient wisdom that can actually help you succeed in business today.
Yeah, these principles are timeless, really.
They are.
And we're going to explore how you can use them in your own ventures, whether you're, just starting out or you've been doing this for a while.
Yeah. This document lays out a whole framework for applying biblical ideas to business. It covers like everything: diligence, morality, planning, motives.
Everything.
Yeah, it's like a crash course in business ethics and strategy,
hmm
but with this like unique twist.
Yeah, what I found interesting was how it presents these principles almost like they're um, laws of nature, like gravity
Oh, interesting.
or aerodynamics.
Mm,
They're always there working, whether you know about them or not. But when you understand them,
right.
that's when you get a real advantage.
That's a great analogy. So we're going to break down each part of this document, pull out the key takeaways,
hmm
and then explore how you can actually apply these in your own ventures.
Sounds good.
Mm.
All
All
right,
right, let's dive in.
let's start with diligence.
Yeah.
The document emphasizes diligence as crucial for any successful business.
Diligence. It sounds, I don't know, kind of old-fashioned, right?
Right. It does.
Yeah.
But the document digs into the Hebrew meaning of the word,
Right.
and it's actually much more dynamic,
hmm
quick, skillful, and ready.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I can already see how those qualities would
Right.
really connect with customers today.
Think about it. If a business is quick to respond to you, if they're skillful at what they do,
Right.
and they're ready to help you,
Exactly.
wouldn't you choose them over, somebody who's slow, sloppy, and
Yeah.
just doesn't seem to care? And the document actually shares this story. It's about an internet web manager who made a few tweaks to the website's entry point,
Yeah.
that first window you see,
Yeah.
and saw a huge improvement in how people engage with the site.
Wow.
It's amazing how these like small details
Yeah.
can have such a big impact.
Absolutely. Think about your favorite online stores or maybe service providers. What makes them stand out? It's probably those little things that
Right.
make it a good experience, right?
Yeah.
Like a user-friendly interface, clear communication,
Yeah.
quick customer service. That all comes from being diligent.
Now that you mention it,
Yeah.
I can think of a few websites I've just like abandoned because they were clunky and
Yeah.
confusing to navigate. It makes me think, like, what am I overlooking in my
Right.
own work?
That's a great point. This principle is really about looking at every part of your business,
Okay.
big or small,
Yeah.
and asking, how can I be more diligent?
Yeah.
How can I make sure every interaction with my business is positive,
Yeah.
efficient,
Nice.
a good experience for the customer?
That's a great question to keep in mind.
Okay, so moving on from diligence, let's talk about right planning.
Okay.
And this is where it gets kind of interesting
Okay.
because it challenges that idea of, plan first, then act.
Right.
The document says, commit your works to a higher purpose.
Okay.
Then your thoughts will become established. It's like saying, figure out your WHY before you get lost in the how day.
So before we get into all the details of like market research and business plans,
Mm-hmm.
we need to like define the heart of our business.
Exactly.
What are we trying to do?
Yeah.
What kind of impact do we want to make?
And the document gives some practical steps on how to do this.
Oh, okay.
It says define the scope of your business,
Mm-hmm.
like your niche, your target audience, where you'll operate, the resources you'll need. And then, and this is important, get advice from people who've done it before.
Mentors, advisors, experienced entrepreneurs.
Experienced entrepreneurs.
Their insights can save you from making like costly
I'm
mistakes
sure.
and help you refine your vision.
It's about tapping into that collective wisdom,
Yeah.
learning from those who faced similar challenges and succeeded. They can give you invaluable guidance as you find your own path.
I've definitely been guilty of rushing into projects
Mhm.
without a clear vision, and it usually doesn't end well.
They-
So this idea of like committing to a higher purpose first
Yeah.
seems like a game changer.
It's powerful, right? Aligning your actions with your values can be really motivating.
Right.
And it leads to a more fulfilling journey as an entrepreneur.
Think about a project where you felt like really passionate
Yeah.
and you believed in its impact.
Mm-hmm.
Did that affect your motivation? Did it affect the outcome?
Absolutely.
Yeah, when I'm passionate about something and I believe in it, I'm more likely to push through the hard parts and see it through.
It's that inner drive that comes from having a clear purpose.
Yeah.
That's what helps you overcome obstacles and achieve real, lasting success.
This is giving me a lot to think about already. Okay, the next section dives into the power of thinking in business,
Okay.
which, might seem obvious,
Yeah.
but it goes way deeper than just like making decisions.
Right. It's about the quality of your thinking.
Oh, okay.
The document says wise input leads to wise output.
That makes sense.
And that applies to everything.
Okay.
The books you read, the podcasts you listen to, the people you surround yourself with.
It's like you are what you eat, but for your mind. If
Yeah.
you feed it negativity, fear, limiting beliefs, your output is going to reflect that.
Right. But if you nourish it with good ideas, insightful conversations, strategic thinking,
Yeah.
then your business decisions, your actions,
Right.
they'll be more creative, more innovative, more effective.
And it's not just about like seeking positive information.
Right.
'Cause it's also about surrounding yourself with people who challenge you,
Yes.
who offer constructive criticism, who push you to grow.
People who make you think.
Yeah. The document shares some examples of businesses that thrive during recessions. They didn't panic. They adapted. They spotted new opportunities.
Yeah.
Like repair services.
Right.
They often see a boom during recessions because people are holding on to their stuff longer.
Exactly. It's a perfect example of how a shift in thinking can turn a challenge into an opportunity.
It's all about perspective, right? Seeing roadblocks as opportunities for innovation and growth.
So what's your mental diet like these days?
Oh, that's a good question.
Are you feeding your mind negativity and fear, or are you seeking out information and perspectives that help you grow?
I think I'm doing okay.
Good. Because in the end, our thoughts shape our actions, our decisions, our success.
That's true.
What we choose to focus on really does influence the direction of our businesses.
Now, for a topic that can be a bit sensitive, but the document addresses it head on, morality. And this isn't about pushing any specific belief system,
Right.
but it's about acknowledging that moral laws, just like those business principles we've talked about, they're universal.
They
They have real-world consequences.
The document says these moral laws impact everyone no matter what they believe.
Okay.
It uses the example of corrupt money-lending businesses that eventually collapse
Oh, interesting.
to show that unethical practices might seem profitable in the short term, but in the long run, they lead to downfall.
You think about those businesses that cut corners, exploit workers, mislead their customers. They might see quick gains, but at what cost?
Right.
Their reputation, customer trust,
Right.
their long-term sustainability, it's all at risk.
It all comes back to integrity
Yeah.
and ethical conduct,
Yeah.
not as optional extras,
Right.
but as essential for lasting success.
Have you ever encountered a business practice that just felt like ethically questionable?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And how did that affect how you viewed that company?
Honestly, I have a hard time supporting businesses that don't align with my values.
I hear that.
Knowing a company operates ethically, treats its employees fairly, makes me more likely to choose them, even if it costs a bit more.
For me, transparency and ethical conduct are huge factors in my decisions.
Yeah.
It makes me think about how my own personal ethics shape how I approach business. Like, what are my non-negotiables? What lines won't I cross, even if it means a smaller profit?
It's good to define those boundaries up front, you know? It can really guide your decision-making
Yeah.
and help you build a business that reflects your values, one that contributes positively to the world.
Wow, this is getting deep.
It is. And speaking of deep, the next section explores a principle that's as relevant today as it was thousands of years ago. Accurate measures.
Sure.
The document connects the biblical command for fair weights and measures to things like standardized units, quality control, consumer protection laws. It's about making sure what you're selling aligns with what you're promising.
It's about being honest about what you're offering.
Exactly. Whether it's a product, a service, even information.
Have you ever felt misled by a business? Like maybe a product wasn't as advertised, or there were hidden fees, or the quality was just bad?
Oh, yeah. It's frustrating, right?
It's so frustrating, and it immediately makes you lose trust.
It does. And this is a reminder that transparency and honesty are crucial for building customer loyalty and a good reputation.
When customers feel confident they're getting what they paid for,
Mm,
they're more likely to come back and recommend you to others.
absolutely.
Accurate measures. It's like the foundation of
Yeah.
trust in any transaction.
Yeah.
It's about creating a win-win
Exactly.
where both the business and the customer feel valued
Both sides feel good about it.
and respected.
Mhm.
All right, so we've covered diligence, right? Planning, thinking, morality, and accurate measures.
We have.
These are all like essential principles
Yo.
for building a successful and ethical business.
And there's so much more to this document.
Oh,
We're just getting started.
I can't wait to dive deeper.
Stay tuned. In the next part, we'll explore even more intriguing concepts, like the principle of Sabbath, the importance of honesty,
Okay.
the impact of our motives, and something called kingdom thinking.
Oh, I'm intrigued. This deep dive is already eye-opening.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Welcome back. Last time we were talking about some foundational business principles. Diligence, right planning, thinking, morality, and accurate measures.
You know, when I first heard we'd be exploring biblical principles for business,
Mm-hmm.
I have to admit I was a little skeptical.
Really?
Yeah, but seeing how these concepts translate into practical strategies,
Right.
it's actually fascinating. It's like there's this whole layer of wisdom that's been there all along.
It's amazing, isn't it, how these principles, they transcend time and culture.
They do.
They tap into something fundamental about human nature
Yeah.
and how we interact in the marketplace.
So where do we go from here? What other treasures does this document hold?
Well, the next principle might surprise you, especially in today's, go, go, go business world. It's the principle of Sabbath.
Sabbath,
Mm-hmm.
as in like taking a break.
As in taking a break.
Who has time for that when you're building a business?
Right. It seems like you need to be hustling all the time to
Yeah.
stay ahead. But the document argues that rest and recreation, they're not just good for you personally.
Okay.
They're crucial for the long-term health of your business. Burnout is real, and it can lead to bad decisions, less creativity, and ultimately a less successful business.
So you're saying taking time off isn't just about recharging, it's
Right.
actually a strategic move.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Think about athletes. They know that rest and recovery are just as important as training. If they push themselves to the limit without downtime,
Right.
they get injured, they burn out. It's the same in business.
So we need to give ourselves permission
Yes.
to unplug, recharge, and come back with fresh eyes.
Fresh perspective.
You know what? I've definitely felt the effects of burnout,
Mm-hmm.
that feeling of being constantly drained and uninspired.
Yeah.
And I never really connected it to my lack of downtime,
Right.
but it makes sense.
The document even points out how this principle is reflected in things like rotating staff schedules,
Okay.
union-protected work hours, and the focus on work-life balance.
Right.
These aren't just perks.
Yeah.
They're essential for a healthy, productive workforce.
I'm curious, how do you incorporate this principle of Sabbath into your own work life?
Well, for me, it's about setting boundaries and prioritizing things that replenish my energy. I make time for things I enjoy outside of work, spending time with family and friends, hobbies, being in nature. It's a conscious effort to step away from the demands of business and reconnect with myself.
That's great. It's a good reminder that we need to be intentional about creating that space
We do.
for rest and rejuvenation. It's not about being lazy.
Right.
It's about being strategic
It is.
and prioritizing our well-being.
Exactly. And it's not just about, vacations or long breaks.
Yeah.
It's about integrating rest into your daily routine. Even short breaks throughout the day can make a huge difference. Stepping away from your desk, taking a walk, a
Right.
quick meditation.
I'm going to try incorporating more mini breaks into my day. Maybe even a power nap if I can fit it in.
Whatever works for you.
Yeah.
The key is to find what helps you disconnect and recharge.
Okay, so from rest, we move on to another fundamental principle that, seems simple on the surface, but can be tough to uphold in the business world. Honesty.
Yeah, the document makes a bold statement about honesty. It says that anyone can succeed in business,
Okay.
regardless of their religious beliefs, because these principles work like natural laws.
So it's not about following a specific religion,
Right.
but recognizing that honesty is a universal key to success.
Exactly.
Right.
And it gives this great example of a Christian car dealership
Okay.
that chooses to charge fair prices and be transparent about any flaws in their vehicles, even if it means less profit.
Wow.
They believe that building trust and a reputation for integrity is more valuable in the long run.
That's amazing. They're prioritizing the long term
They are.
over short-term gains.
It makes you wonder, How many businesses would be willing to do that?
Right. Think about a time when you felt deceived or misled by a business. How did that affect your trust in them?
It definitely erodes trust.
Would you want to do business with them again?
Probably not.
Probably not. Honesty and transparency are crucial for building trust,
There you go.
which is the foundation of any good business relationship.
When customers feel like they can rely on your word,
Yeah.
they're more likely to come back and recommend you to others.
So honesty isn't just ethical, it's also a smart business strategy.
It is. It
Yeah.
makes you think, where are we cutting corners or compromising our honesty, even in small ways?
That's a good question.
How can we challenge ourselves to be more transparent and authentic?
Now, from honesty, we dive into another fascinating aspect of business. Motives. Why are we doing this?
Yeah.
What's driving us? It seems like a simple question.
It does.
But the document suggests that our motives has a huge impact on our success and fulfillment.
The document looks at all sorts of motives, from the good ones, like providing for your family and making a positive impact,
Right.
to the more self-serving ones, like wealth, status, power.
And it challenges us to examine our own motivations
It does.
and make sure they align with our values and long-term goals.
And it brings in this thought-provoking line from Psalm 39, Lord, make me to know my end, and what is the measure of my days, that I may know how frail I am. It's a reminder of our mortality
Right.
and a call to choose work that matters.
It's about recognizing that time is precious
It is.
and making conscious choices about how we spend it.
Are we chasing empty ambitions that leave us feeling drained?
Mm.
Or are we doing work that aligns with our values and brings us fulfillment?
That's a good question. The document also emphasizes the importance of controlling the size of your business to fit your needs.
Yes. Bigger isn't always better.
Sometimes staying small allows you to maintain a better balance and
Yeah.
focus on your core values.
It's about creating a business that serves your life, not the other way around.
You know, I see so many entrepreneurs who are constantly striving for more.
Mhm.
More revenue, more customers, more influence.
Hmm.
But it comes at a cost, right?
Yeah.
Their health, their relationships, their well-being suffers.
It's easy to get caught in that cycle
It
of
is.
always wanting more.
It's important to define what success really means to us and build our businesses around that vision.
Exactly. It's about aligning your business with your lifestyle, not letting your business dictate how you live. And the document uses some interesting examples from the Bible to illustrate this.
Oh, right. Like the virtuous woman in Proverbs 31.
Yes, she's like the ultimate multitasker,
She is.
managing multiple ventures
Right.
while still prioritizing her family's well-being.
And then there's that contrasting example of the corrupt businesswoman in Revelation 18.
Oh yeah, she's consumed by luxury and greed.
And ultimately faces destruction.
It's a warning about letting ambition and materialism rule your life.
So the question is, are we pursuing a life of labor, finding meaning in our work, or chasing after luxury that leaves us empty?
It's a tough question, but it's one we need to ask ourselves.
Yeah. What truly brings us joy? Are our businesses serving our lives, or are our lives being consumed by our businesses?
The answers will guide you toward creating a business and a life that's both successful and fulfilling.
These are some heavy questions. It's so important to stop and reflect on them, especially when we're caught up in the pursuit of business success.
Absolutely. Now, speaking of different approaches to business, the document introduces this concept of kingdom thinking.
Kingdom thinking.
It talks about two contrasting kingdoms.
Okay.
One driven by, the Spirit of God, characterized by generosity and integrity, and the other driven by self-interest and greed.
It sounds like a metaphor for the choices we face.
It does.
Not just in business, but in life in general.
Yeah. Will we operate from a place of service and compassion,
Right.
or will we give in to selfishness and greed?
And the document says these choices have real consequences.
Real consequences. It draws on verses from Psalms that show this stark contrast between the two kingdoms.
Yeah.
Psalm 10 talks about the wicked who boast and bless the greedy,
Interesting.
while Psalm 112 praises the good man who is generous and lends wisely.
So our actions, especially in business, can either contribute to a more just and compassionate world, or they can perpetuate a cycle of exploitation and greed.
Our choices have a ripple effect.
They do.
It's not just about us.
The challenge then is to figure out which kingdom our actions are serving.
Right. Are we building businesses and lives that reflect our values, or are we letting self-interest rule, even if it means compromising our integrity or harming others?
It makes you wonder, what would the business world look like if more leaders embrace the principles of this kingdom of generosity and integrity?
That's a good question. It would be a world where businesses operate not just for profit, but for purpose,
Yeah.
where success is measured not just by money, but by the positive impact they have on their employees, customers, and the world.
It's inspiring to think that our business decisions could actually help build a better world.
It is. It's about more than just profits and losses
It's about making choices that align with our
and
values.
create a positive ripple effect.
Now, building on this idea of contrasting approaches, the document then dives into this comparison between labor and luxury. It starts with a proverb from Ecclesiastes. The sleep of a laboring man is sweet, whether he eats little or much, but the abundance of the rich will not suffer him to sleep.
Interesting. It challenges the idea that wealth automatically equals happiness.
Right. It suggests that sometimes the pursuit of wealth can actually rob us of peace.
True contentment doesn't necessarily come from possessions, but from finding meaning and purpose in your work.
It's like that saying, more money, more problems.
Right. The more you have, the more you worry about losing it, protecting it, managing it.
It becomes a burden.
It can. And this ties into another natural law the document highlights.
Yeah.
The more you have, the more you spend.
It's a cycle that's hard to break.
It is.
I've been there.
Yeah.
It's easy to get caught up in wanting more, acquiring more. But at what point does that pursuit of more start to take away from our quality of life?
Right. The document brings us back to those examples of women in the Bible. The virtuous woman who manages her resources wisely and prioritizes her family's well-being.
Right.
And the corrupt businesswoman who's consumed by luxury and faces destruction because of her greed.
It's a powerful reminder that success isn't just about what we accumulate.
No, it's not.
It's about how we manage what we have and what we prioritize.
It's about finding that balance between ambition and contentment.
This has been so thought-provoking. We've covered so much. Diligence, planning, rest, honesty, aligning our motives with our values. I'm excited to hear what other insights the document has for us.
Well, we're just getting to the good part. And the final part will wrap up our deep dive by exploring the culmination of all these principles
Okay.
and the document's ultimate message.
I can't wait. This deep dive has already challenged my assumptions and broadened my perspective on what it means to build a successful and fulfilling business. Welcome back to the deep dive. We've been on this incredible journey exploring these biblical business principles.
Yeah, it's been quite a deep dive.
It has, and I'm honestly surprised by how relevant and insightful these ancient ideas are for running a business today.
They really do hold up, don't they?
They do. We've covered diligence, planning, thinking, morality, accurate measures, the Sabbath, honesty, motives, and even kingdom thinking.
You've covered a lot of ground.
It's like a whole new framework for building a business with integrity.
And purpose.
And now the document brings us to its final point, which it calls, Jesus is the end result.
I know that might sound a bit exclusive.
Yeah, I was wondering about that too.
But stick with us here because the message is actually quite universal.
How does this idea fit into everything else we've been talking about?
Well, it starts by talking about the 10 Commandments,
Okay,
which in different forms have been foundational to societies throughout history.
that's true.
Respecting a higher power, honoring parents, being truthful, avoiding theft and greed. These resonate with people from all walks of life,
Okay.
regardless of their religious beliefs.
It's like they're woven into the fabric of most ethical systems.
Right. They provide a framework for living and working together harmoniously. And then this section emphasizes Jesus' teachings on love. Loving God, loving your neighbor, and loving yourself.
Love in business, that's not something you hear every day.
I know, right?
It seems kind of counterintuitive, especially in a world that often prioritizes competition and profit.
It might seem idealistic, but imagine applying that to how you interact with everyone. Your customers, your employees, your suppliers, even your competitors.
Wow, that would be a huge shift.
It would. What if we approach business with a mindset of service, collaboration, mutual benefit?
It would definitely be different from the win-at-all-costs mentality we see so often.
But it could lead to a more sustainable, fulfilling, and even profitable way of doing business.
I can see that.
The document does acknowledge that living up to these standards perfectly is, well, pretty challenging.
Of course.
It describes the 10 Commandments as a signpost, pointing to our need for grace and forgiveness. We all make mistakes.
Yeah, we're human.
But that doesn't mean we can't try to make more ethical choices.
And build businesses that reflect those values?
Exactly. And what's so hopeful about this document is that it shows how combining these biblical principles with genuine faith, or even just a deep commitment to ethical conduct can make a real difference in the world.
That's powerful.
It can lead to businesses that are not only successful, but also meaningful, fulfilling, and contribute to a better world.
It's a beautiful vision. And whether or not you subscribe to a specific belief system, I think these takeaways are universally applicable.
I agree.
We've uncovered so many valuable insights in this deep dive, from diligence and planning to the power of honesty, the importance of rest, and aligning our motives with our values.
It's been quite a journey.
It has. And as we wrap up, I'm curious if you could start your business or any project from scratch, knowing what you know now, what would you do differently?
That's a great question. It really makes you think about how you would apply these principles
It challenges us to take what we've learned and actually put it into action.
to make more conscious choices and build businesses that reflect who we are and what we believe in.
This deep dive has been eye-opening for me. I'm walking away with a new sense of purpose
That's wonderful to hear.
and a fresh perspective on what it means to build a business that's both successful and fulfilling.
That's what it's all about. Remember, business can be more than just a way to make money. It can be a force for good, a way to express your values, and make a positive impact on the world.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We hope you found it as insightful and inspiring as we have.
And remember, keep learning, keep growing, and keep striving to build businesses that make a difference.
Until next time.